Welcome back. We're learning Ein Yaakov tractate Baba Metzia. And today's title is The Exquisite Fragrance of Gan Eden. I guess the exquisite fragrance of paradise. It's from tractate Baba Metzia 114a. And actually we're going to complete the Ein Yaakov for tractate Baba Metzia today, and God willing, we'll start tomorrow from Baba Bater. Yeah.
Do we do a l'chaim for this?
If you have one, we'll drink with you. So, yeah. So Rabbi ben Rabbi Abau, or Rabbi ben Abua, met Eliyahu. He met Elijah, the prophet, standing in a non-Jewish cemetery. It's like, what are you doing in a non-Jewish cemetery? He asked them, so he asked Elijah, are you not a Cohen? Because Elijah is a descendant of Pinchas. Pinchas was a Cohen.
Okay.
Pinchas, the grandchild of Aaron.
Nice.
It's like, first question is, what are you doing in a cemetery? You're a Cohen. Are you not a Cohen? Why then are you standing in a cemetery? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Elijah replied, have you not learned the laws of Taharis, the laws of purity and impurity? The sixth order of the Talmud, dealing with the laws of purity, for it has been taught, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said, the graves of non-Jews do not defile. So he didn't tell him I'm not a Kohen. He said I'm a Kohen, but it was taught. It was taught
only
a Jew. Yeah, if it's a non-Jew, it doesn't make you tameh. It says it quotes Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, and he said the graves of non-Jews do not defile. So he replied, I can barely study. Rabbi ben Abua is now responding to Elijah. He told him, don't you know? Because Eliyahu said to him, don't you? So he said, I can barely study 4 of the orders, Moed, Nashim, Nezikin. Moed deals with the festivals, Nashim deals with women, and Nezikin speaks of damages, and Kochim speaks about consecrated objects. He said, I didn't make it to Taharis, to the laws of purity and impurity, so I didn't know. That's what Rabbi ben Abua responds to Elijah. Okay, he said, I didn't know this because I didn't make it. I didn't study it yet. He says to them, how can I study all 6 orders, right? Also Zroim speaks about seeds and Tahara is purifications, which have no practical application outside of Eretz Yisrael. So he says to him, why not? Asked Elijah. I'm busy trying to eke out a living, E-K-E. Shmuel, you heard that word?
E-K-E?
Yeah. Eke out a living.
Yeah, eke. Scratch it out.
To scratch it out. To eke out a living.
Yeah.
Rabbi ben Abua replied, Elijah, so he says, why I don't have time? Because he said, I'm trying to make a living also. I need to live. When do I have time to learn Taharis? How can I study all 6? And Taharis, also Zroim, purification, which have no practical application outside of Israel. So why not? Ask Elijah. So he responded, I'm busy trying to eke out a living. So he's having a hard time with livelihood. So I'm trying to scratch out a living. So Rabbi ben Abua replied, that was the reply of Rabbi ben Abua. So Elijah then led him to Gan Eden, took him to Gan Eden with him, and told them, take off your robe and pick up some of these leaves that you see in Gan Eden. Pick up the leaves that you see. So he picked them up and took them with him. As he was going out, living Gan Eden, he heard someone saying, would anyone consume his portion in the world to come the way Rabbi ben Abua did? So, in other words, he was hearing that by picking up the leaves in Gan Eden, he is consuming his world to come. He's eating his reward now by taking these leaves with him. So he heard this. The voice said, "Does anyone is going to do it like him? Is anybody else is going to consume his Gan Eden like Rabbi Ben Abua?" Hearing this, he shook his robe, and the leaves fell off. Yet, even so, since he had carried the leaves in his robe, their fragrance was clinging to it. The robe had now the fragrance of the leaves of Gan Eden. And so he sold it. He sold his cloak or his robe for 12,000 dinars, large sum of money, which he donated to his sons-in-law. He gave the money to his sons-in-law. He sold the robe and donated the proceeds because he did not want to derive any benefit from the fragrance of Gan Eden. That's the interpretation of Maharshal. Why he gave the money. He said, I'm not interested in consuming my Gan Eden. Therefore, he gave the money to his sons-in-law. So you should sit and learn Torah. This Agada wants to show the great reward that is in store for Torah scholars. For if the mere fragrance of dry fallen leaves of Gan Eden is so valuable, dry fallen leaves in Gan Eden are so valuable, imagine how infinitely greater is the value of the fruits of Gan Eden themselves. Imagine the fruits. Up till now, we're just dealing with some dry leaves that had a permanent smell on the cloak, on this robe. That's why the robe was sold for so much money. But imagine the fruits of Gan Eden. So in Gemara and Baba Metzia, in 115a, we learned in a Baita, it says, when you make any kind of loan to your neighbor, you're giving money to your neighbor, do not go into his house to take something as security. Deuteronomy 24:10. The implication is that you may not enter the debtor's house, but you may enter the house of the cosigner of the loan. And so it says, take the garment of one who cosigns for a stranger. Proverbs 20:16. And it says, my child, if you have been a guarantor for your friend, if you have given your handshake for a stranger, you have been trapped by the words of your mouth. Do this therefore, my child, and be rescued, for you have come into your fellow's hand. Go humble yourself before him, and palliate your fellow. If you owe the creditor money because you guaranteed a loan, pay him. If not, but you have harmed him with words, by slander or insult, bring many of your friends to help you appease him. So we see the great responsibility of a guarantor, that the lender cannot go to the house of the borrower, but he can go to the house of the cosigner.
Right. What about, let's say, Joe Smith across the street needs your lawnmower, as an example? Just a direct favor. Do you just say, here's my lawnmower for an hour and let him go, or you need to make some sort of more of an agreement than that?
Well, it's really up to you, up to the two parties. If they don't make an agreement to it, then there's less chances for me to get it back. If something happens to it, it's being stolen or whatever it is, depends how trustworthy this person is, right? But if we're talking about money, usually with money, people write a contract or they write some kind of a promissory.
I'm just saying, like,
there's a
you're-
promissory note, but
Right,
there's
right.
usually they want a guarantor, either a collateral that would be could be a house, could be jewelry, could be a car. Casino sometimes they see the high rollers spending money.
They'll give you a certain credit.
They
limit.
say okay, what's the collateral that we get? So they give them the keys to the car, they give them the title to their house, whatever.
Right, but sometimes they will
Yeah.
give a certain amount of
Right.
credit. One of my friends
The
was a high
the point
roller
is
that I've seen.
the point is that the lender is not allowed to go into the house of the borrower and just harass him and take away his blankets
Go do it
and
for the cosign. That's why you shouldn't cosign loans.
Buchim to you.